This is the Freeheel Life podcast, episode number 96. I'm your host, Josh Madsen, coming at you from the Freeheel Life shop in Salt Lake City, Utah. And it's one more week closer to Telemark season, everybody. And hopefully you're having a great Monday. So I'm back here again with another episode of the podcast. Always appreciate you tuning in on Mondays or whenever you're catching it to see what's going on in the Freeheel Life world, what we're up to, and to get some news and tidbits and culture and gear talk and all of the like. So we're nearing that 100 mark, so it's been pretty cool. Just being able to talk to you guys every week and know that you're tuning in, and very, very happy with how it's gone. So thank you. So just to kind of kick it off with newsroom and notes, things are starting to pick up. Hopefully you guys are catching the podcast a little more regularly now that we're heading into the season. I suspect that most people will probably start tuning in a little bit more as we're now coming into the fall. It's definitely getting colder in the mornings, and we're starting to feel it here in Salt Lake. Definitely going into the shop wearing a hoodie and not just a t-shirt in the mornings, and that's always a good sign that things are starting to cool down and snow's not too far off in the future. So with that said, October 9th is going to be opening day of the season at the Freeheel Life shop. So we've been kind of bringing guys back online in terms of getting the shop prepared, starting to receive orders and product coming in, and everybody's been working extremely hard to kind of get everything prepared to get things rolling. So October 9th, if you live in Salt Lake or you're going to be in the area, mark your calendars and definitely come on by. And if you're ready to get gear, great. You can drop skis off for getting a tune and whatnot. And during the podcast today, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we do at Freeheel Life, and that way kind of give you a better sense of it. But if you've been to the shop before, you probably got a pretty good idea. And if nothing else, just stop by and say what up, grab some stickers for the season, and say hello to the crew. Everybody always loves seeing those faces that we usually start catching when the winter's coming in and don't really see anybody because we don't open up in the summertime. So there's usually a chunk of time in the spring, late spring, summer, and that we don't see all of our friends and customers and everybody. So we always love to say hello to everybody when the season comes around. So October 9th for the multiple time. Do not forget. With that, I wanted to mention that we will be continuing our endeavors to build a presence in the Midwest of the United States with our FHL Service and Demo Center in Washburn, Wisconsin. So our good buddy Keith Opperman did a fantastic job kind of beta testing this for us last year, sort of getting it off the ground. And I just kind of wanted to touch base on that just to let you guys know that we were going to continue doing that and talk just a little bit about it. So what Keith has done is he's trained with us to become a Freeheel Life certified ski tech, and that way he can service your skis in terms of binding mounts and repairs out in that area of the Midwest. And he's, Washburn's northern Wisconsin, so it's obviously not in a metropolitan area, but it's sort of on the way to some of these other ski resorts, and he runs Midwest Telefest as well on his own. And it was the perfect way to kind of get things going, get some gear in the area, and just get it going. So it went well, and we're excited to keep investing some time and money up there to keep that rolling. So, and if you have questions about that or how to get a hold of Keith, as the season's starting to come along, you can email direct to customer service at freeheellife.com at the headquarters, and then we'll sort of disseminate that information out to get you in touch with Keith. So I would say it's still kind of a little bit of an underground way of us kind of getting into that area So it's not like we opened a brick and mortar. Keith's working out of his workshop and whatnot. So, this is very grassroots stuff. And this was kind of a way that, we actually put a full fleet of Telemark demos. So we've got a whole fleet of boots, Scarpa boots, NTN, and skis and bindings as well. So, there's a rental fleet there. And then obviously you can get service. But it's a great way to kind of scratch the itch, I guess. And we can talk a little bit about that more as I'm kind of going through the podcast stuff today. But I wanted to mention that that's going on. That will be our only service and demo center that we're going to do this year. So if you're in that zone, please keep it in mind, spread the word, and we'll continue to talk about it and keep it out in front of everybody so you know about it. And thanks if you supported it last year. That helps us a lot. And obviously the support goes a long way because it helps us know that it's something that's, something that we need to continue to do. So, all right. So today, what I wanted to talk about is I'm just going to kind of do a quick one today, sort of a preseason refresh on really what Freeheel Life is and what we do. Sometimes we talk about it, and when we are the people at Freeheel Life, sometimes we're just in the mix. And I started realizing that doing the podcast, if you're a listener from the first 95 episodes, great. You might be just tuning in. You might have just crossed the podcast and or found us on social media or something like that. And maybe you don't, sometimes we realize that people kind of don't know what we do. They're like, oh, you're an Instagram page and you've got ski photos and that's really cool. Or, they've been to the shop, but maybe they don't know we have a podcast or whatnot. So today I just kind of wanted to take a second, talk a little bit about, not a deep history of it or anything like that. There are some podcasts that you can find where I kind of give a history of how Freeheel Life came to be. And I'll kind of touch base on that, but I wanted to just kind of go over what we do so you guys can know kind of all about it in one place. And as we're heading into opening day for the season, you sort of know what to expect and know what we can provide in terms of service and knowledge and expertise. And so that's a big part. So kind of going back to the beginning, just to give you kind of an idea of, what the mission and the idea of Freeheel Life was in the beginning. Back in 2014, after having done a bunch of other stuff in the Telemark world, making movies and working with companies and traveling around, I was the editor at Telemark Skier magazine for a while. I realized there was really a need for some sort of a retail space geared at Telemark skiers specifically. And, I was seeing a lot of backcountry shops that carried Telemark gear. And, every once in a while there was a nice Alpine shop that had a Telemark section, but there wasn't ever really a Telemark shop. And so the basic idea of Freeheel Life has always been a space where Telemark skiers can go. They know they're going to get high-level expertise by people that do what they do, understand the equipment, understand the bindings, understand the boots, and also can service the equipment in a way that makes sense, and really make it a shop geared for tele. And, quite honestly, it was, I've said this a million times on this podcast because it's, it's the typical thing. Isn't Telemark dead? Blah, 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 blah. It's kind of always been funny because, opening a Telemark specific shop has been an experiment of sorts, but it wasn't just out of the blue. And this is going to be our 7th season open, and we're incredibly excited to, service the Telemark public, if you will, help it, give you guys service, help you, with all the stuff that you need, and really just be a knowledge library of sorts where, you can actually purchase equipment from us and you actually have people that you can talk to about that equipment. And so that's the basic overview of what Freeheel Life is, what it represents, and really what we're pushing this year especially is letting you guys know our mission. It's to preserve, protect, and promote, telemark as a turn. And in our opinion, the most beautiful turn on snow, and the original turn on snow. And when and hopefully if you make it to the shop, you'll see, the shop itself is, when you walk in, you're going to notice that there's a lot of history in there. And one of the things I've tried to do is preserve a lot of the history of Telemark in terms of boots, skis, and bindings. The entire ceiling of the main shop is covered in old Telemark setups. There's a boot wall, that kind of shows the evolution of leather boots all the way through leather plastic combinations and all the way into plastic boots. And then from there, trying to pick up, weird modifications and stuff that, may have come along the way and have influenced our sport over the last, 3 to 4 decades. So, although we push a lot of new product out of there, we also want to make sure people that are just getting into the sport realize that there's a incredibly rich history of Telemark and the turn and where it came from. And we always make sure that our staff is tuned in, to all of that. And so whether you're someone who's skiing on pins and leather still, or maybe you want to try pins and leather, maybe you've got an old setup, or you're hopping right into NTN and taking out one of our demos or something like that, we make sure that the staff is tuned in to not only the history, but the new stuff as well, and can really span that entire conversation with all sorts of customers from young to old and everybody in the middle. And that's been super, super important to us. And it was really important to me when I opened the shop, because I realized there literally was nowhere even I could go, someone who was passionate about Telemark, where I could have like a good experience. I mean, at the point I opened the shop, I was actually having kind of odd experiences going into shops that traditionally carried Telemark and sort of being told off in in nice terms, I guess. Sort of, a lot of it was like, why are you still doing this? Why are you still Telemark? And why don't you AT? And that's just not something you're going to hear at our shop. I mean, it's you're walking into an ecosystem that is Telemark, and that's it. And we welcome all people, like bring your snowboard friends, bring your alpine friends. And we hope that the exposure in a shop like this, that conversation doesn't really even exist. You're coming into our world. And that's what we want to share with you, is how rad Telemark is, always has been, and always will be. And that's the vibe of the shop. So our hope is that you have an amazing experience, whether you talk to our staff on the phone or come into the shop, or, hit us up on social media or whatnot. So that's what you're going to find. If you come to Freeheel Life, if you shop online, that's the overall expectation, that you should have, is you're going to talk to someone on the other end of the line that knows what they're talking about, and they're passionate about helping you solve your problems, and they're passionate about the equipment and the turn, and they're there to protect it and make sure that they can share it with the next person that's interested in doing it. So that's kind of the overall mission, and I just kind of wanted to get that out there so you really know what we stand for, and kind of the value system that we operate on, and how important that really is to us every day we go into work. That we're really striving to promote this thing forward and continue to build it. And for those of you that have been customers of ours for a long time, thank you so very much. Like, this is all happening because of you. Freeheel Life exists because we have an amazing customer base that supports us and shops with us and knows us, and also gives us feedback and helps us grow and make the processes better so that we can serve more people. And more than anything else, you've shared the word. We've literally been able to build this because of you, because you told your friends, you told your other Telemark buddies in your community, and we couldn't have done it without you. So thank you so much. So kind of getting into what we've focused on doing at the shop, because we sort of have a very specific philosophy about what we're trying to do. We're also trying to make sure that when you shop with us, 100% of your money is going back to brands that support telemark skiing. So most of what you're going to find at Freeheel Life are brands that, really that's kind of how we're trying to help foster an industry. And by doing that, we're either trying to make stuff ourselves, or we're trying to find other brands that we can team up with that we know also care about things at the level that we do. So, of course, when you come into our shop, one of the main things that we offer are telemark skis, or good skis for telemark skiing, where your dollars are going to go back and help impact telemark for the better. So this year we're going to be carrying Volet skis, we're going to be carrying Bishop skis, and we're also going to be carrying some of our Protector series of skis. Those are the three brands that you can expect to see. Now, if you have another pair of skis that you want to bring in and get mounted, we do it all the time. It's just that's what we sell in the shop to help generate a more impactful way of supporting telemark. That's why we do that. So, but if you want to reach out and understand a little bit more about, maybe, is this ski good for telemark? Is there a way to mount these that's going to work well for telemark skiing? That's where the expertise really comes in. So hard goods are a big part of our business. So grabbing skis, obviously boots are a big one. Traditionally we carry Scarpa and Scott boots. So one of the greatest things about being able to come in too, if you're physically in Salt Lake, is being able to try on the boots, and on top of that, able to go try the product on the snow. So as I'm talking about boot skis and bindings, just know that most of these setups, we have setups that you can take up onto the hill and do a rental demo, go try it out. Maybe you don't know which boot you want to use between a Scarpa TX Pro and a TX Comp, or maybe you want to try a Scott boot. We have those available for you to try. And we know how important that is because telemark's so individualized in terms of, your style and feel. And one of the things we really pride ourselves in on is understanding what equipment you're coming from, especially if you're a past telemark skier and you haven't bought equipment in a long time. We want to make sure to transition you into the new equipment so that your hard-earned dollars are actually going to something that you like. And so that's a big thing. So, Scott and Scarpa boots you're going to find. Bindings. I'm pretty sure we have the largest selection in the U.S. available in terms of stock and brands. So you're going to find 22 Design stuff. The M equipment, which is Majo bindings. We've got all the Volet bindings, 75 millimeter stuff, all the way to their new TTS, the Rotofella bindings, Rotofella Freeride, Rotofella Freedom. We've got the OMG TTS, Bishop bindings, and on top of that, we have binding parts. And I wanted to mention that is a lot of people don't realize that one of the things that we offer that's fantastic, in my opinion, is we've always tried to have all of the parts available for the new bindings in stock so that if you break something, it's on the wall. If you need a set of screws, you can grab it. And this was something that we tried to develop, right off the bat, year one, is try to break down stuff so that you can buy individual parts. So make sure to check that out. If you're trying to get things squared away for the season, new parts are a big part of what we do. And, it could be spring cartridges or, like I said, screws or accessories that go with it. along with leashes and all sorts of other stuff. And, carrying 75 millimeter stuff as well as NTN has been super important, and we support all the platforms, Tecto, NTN, TTS, 75 millimeter stuff, all the way to 3-pin. So whatever you're looking for, it's there. And, by supporting our shop, it's a really great way for you to build a relationship with us where we can then help talk you through it and obviously take it to the next step of mounting it to your skis. So on that note, one thing that we're trying to get dialed in is make sure that we have all of our used binding parts on the website. So as we get more into the season, this is something that you guys are going to see more and more. I would say we probably have 300 plus used binding parts that we have categorized. This is something that we do that people, as we switched websites and stuff, sometimes things have gotten kind of lost in the mix and maybe there's not something on the site, but that's what I'm saying. I want to make sure you guys know we have those parts available, and we're really trying to make sure they're all available on the site. Here's the reason. You might have a binding that you love and you want to get parts for. And we're fortunate. It's taken us literally 6 years to catalog and put SKU numbers to all of these parts. And it's a great part of our business where we can help people solve their problems. Like maybe they're on vacation and they're like, man, I blew up my binding, and they need a cartridge, and they can come in, or maybe there's a cable they're looking for, or whatnot, and they're not ready to get a new binding. So I wanted to just point that out, that's something you can look for. And we're going to have more and more of those put on the site so you can find them. And I'm talking, these used binding parts go all the way back to the 1980s. I mean, we have all sorts of cool stuff. And it's not just history pieces. And people sometimes are like, why are you selling that stuff? You would be surprised. People are still looking for super loop parts and hammerhead parts, obviously Targa parts, all the black diamond bindings. And basically we take stuff in or try to find stuff that's out there, old stock from shops that are going out of business or whatever, and try to recirculate that into the community so you guys can keep stuff up and running. Sure, we'd love for you to buy a new binding, but this is a great way to make sure that you guys can keep things running if you're not ready to make that step into the new stuff. So I just wanted to bring that up because sometimes that kind of gets put to the wayside and people don't know that we do that. Talking about used parts, we have a ton of used Telemark gear for sale, full setups, boots, bindings. That's always coming in and out. We do have a consignment. So if you're someone who's looking to sell and you need to get rid of it, you can bring that in, and we have a whole system set up to consign the equipment and do that as well. So use Telemark gear. You can also follow that on Instagram at use Telemark gear, and that's a great way to keep up. Nate Nordell's done a really great job of running the YouTube channel for Use Telemark Gear as well, which is separate from our main one, as well as Instagram. We usually combine them into the main channel in the summer, but you'll see that kind of break out as we get into the next few weeks and head towards the opening. So if you're someone who's always keen on finding that great deal on Use Telemark Gear, that's a good way to tune into stuff and keep track of what's going on. And being in Salt Lake, we see tons of amazing setups that come in, tons of NTN setups, as well as 75 millimeter setups. And that's a great way to either get into Telemark, or maybe you're just looking to expand the quiver a little bit. And I just kind of wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of that, and that's a part of the business that you can dig into if you're looking to do that. So, and then obviously I'm not going to go too deep on lifestyle stuff, but you can always rep our stuff: t-shirts, hoodies, beanies, hats, drinkware. I mean, you name it, we've got stuff. It's got Telemark on it. It's got Freeheel Life on it. They're great. They make great gifts for, Christmas and birthdays and all that fun stuff. So keep in touch with that. Backcountry, we started getting into that section as well, so you can easily get into that. Everything from climbing skins to shovels, transceivers. So if you are looking to go into the backcountry, this is, also stuff that we carry in the shop. So, and usually, I've had some guests on the podcast. That's a great resource as well, like Craig Gordon from the Utah Avalanche Forecast Center. When we were doing live events pre-COVID, we would have people come into the shop, and we're always trying to, show some of that backcountry education and where you can access that either in Salt Lake or locally, in your area, and always trying to kind of point people towards that stuff if you are looking to get into the backcountry, which I think is probably going to be, I think a lot of people are going to be hiking this year and whatnot. So going back to our rental setups, we do have skins for many of our skis. So if you're looking to get out and try the Majo binding, for instance, like Tecto NTN, or even some of the Outlaw setups, we typically try to have a skin setup as well if you're looking to get on the skin track and sort of try that out. So kind of focusing on trying stuff out, this is a big part. Like I was mentioning with the boots, bindings, and skis, Telemark is one of those things, like you want to try it. You want to try, if you're just looking to try Telemark, we want to make sure, man, you saw that rad Telemark skier and you want to get on the hill. That's where you can come in, try stuff out, and we have it in the shop for you to try. And we know that if you can try it, there's more likelihood that you're going to keep doing it. And we know that that's a lot of the reason Telemark has a hard time growing in other areas, is it's just not available. And so that's why in the beginning of the podcast, I mentioned our service and demo center in the Midwest. We know that there's geared deserts out there and it's hard to find stuff. So we're always trying to point people to places where they can try Telemark, find rentals, find demos, whatever it may be, so that you can actually try this stuff on. So remember, Salt Lake City, at the headquarters, you can easily get the size of boots and types of boots and skis and binding combos that you're looking for. Service and demo center in the Midwest, up in Washburn, Wisconsin, that's available. And I wanted to point to one other resource that I haven't really talked on the podcast about this at all, and we'll probably do another podcast at some point specifically talking about this. Is I teamed up with Chris at 22 Designs a few years back, and we started developing a thing called Try-Tele. So if you're looking for other places around the world that have Telemark rentals, we've set up a tab in the menu on telemarkskier.com called Try-Tele. And there's a map on there that you can select, kind of geolocate yourself on the map of the world, and it will show you rental shops that you can actually go get Telemark equipment. And like I said, we haven't talked specifically about that, but I wanted to mention that that's a resource for you to use. So telemarkskier.com, Try-Tele, and see if you can locate something close to you. And if you're a shop out there that listens to the podcast and you want to get on that, reach out to podcast@freeheellife.com and we'll get you plugged into there. So that's another great resource that you can find to get into Telemark, or maybe try some equipment if you're looking to upgrade or want to just try something different. The last thing I wanted to mention with demos and rentals and that sort of thing is our kids Telemark rentals. We have a season kids Telemark rental system. So this allows you we have kids Telemark boots, plastic boots. We have the Garmont G Rex, and we have some Teledactyls. These go down to Mondo 19. I think it's a kid's 12. I always forget. Somewhere in there. They're small and they're soft and they're easy to manage for young kids to get into tele. And we can do an entire podcast on kids Telemark skiing and why it's good and why kids love it. And the simple pitch for that is kids like it. They can shuffle around, their heel's not attached. They can easily make alpine turns. They might lift their heel up, but it's a fun way to enjoy the mountain, try something new, and learn the turn at a young age. So if you're curious about kids season telemark rentals, reach out to customer service at freeheellife.com or come into the shop and we can help size up your kid. And also, there's a way, if your kid's growing, to swap boots. There's a way to do that as they grow. And we've seen some phenomenal success stories of young people in our area do that over the years and really been able to pick up the turn. There's a great podcast with Travis and Dylan Bellantino, father-son combo. They've been supporters of the shop since the very beginning, and probably one of the first. Dylan was probably one of the first young people to kind of get on some of the kids' rentals when we had them, and he's become a phenomenal telemark skier over the years. So I encourage you, if you're a parent and you're looking for something fun for your kids to do this season, take advantage of our season telemark rentals, and we want to just get that out. Sometimes we do a terrible job of telling people that we have those. And I thought this would be a good opportunity, as I was kind of explaining some of the stuff that we do, for you to take advantage of that. And please do. And please reach out to us if you have any questions with that. So as far as the last thing I wanted to touch on was service. Much like I was talking about our Midwest Service and Demo Center in Salt Lake, one of the things that I am 100% confident of is that we have an amazing system that we've developed to mount telemark bindings, know where they should go, make sure that they're solid mounts, they're going to stay in your skis, and understand, the relationship of a telemark binding, a telemark skier, and how to keep those bindings in the skis, and identifying skis that maybe people come in and they're not built for a telemark binding. That's happened more in recent years. Again, I'm kind of touching on some simple concepts that we could go much, much deeper, and I'm sure we will at some point. But we want to make sure to send you out the door, not just like mount a binding on a ski that's maybe not going to work. And what I'm referring to is like maybe a really lightweight Polonia core or something like where we know there's not a warranty on it and you just show up with the ski and you don't know that. These are things that we want to pass on to you as customers to make sure that you know what's going on and you don't get yourself in a situation where, there's too much force on a ski that's not meant to be there and you lose your money because where you got the ski from, they might not care that you're a telemark skier. They're going to be like, that's not under warranty. So those are some of the nuances that, we can bring to the table in terms of service. So, binding fixes and service mounts. We are a full tune shop. So if you need your skis tuned, we do all of it. So I know this was kind of a pitchy way of going about it, but I really started thinking about, we do all these different things and sometimes things get lost in the mix because we're a small team. And, we can only talk about so many things at once, and some stuff just gets kind of lost and maybe not spoken about for a while. Or maybe you knew we did this stuff, and this is just kind of a little refresh to let you know what's going on. So overall, like I said at the beginning, the whole reason I started this place back in the day is I'm a telemark skier. I love telemark skiing. I love the history. I love the feeling of it when I go out and do it. And that's what we want to have when you come to FHL, is that you have that feeling with us and you're just stoked. And that's what we talk about, is all the good stuff and how to take your interest that's peaked and then put something tangible to it in terms of knowledge or someone just to throw ideas off of and kind of figure stuff out. So that's the whole point of us being there. And I'm super excited that we're going into a new season and that we've got the opportunity to kind of keep building on this thing. It's been a phenomenal summer of just I've been building our ski manufacturing, at Freeheel Life, and actually building all the stations to build these skis. And we're working really hard to get some of those ready for the demo fleet. So you can try the Protector 95 and the Protector 105. These are things that we're incredibly passionate about, and we've worked really, really hard to take the next step to really flesh out this philosophy of how this thing started and what our intention was, and make that come to life. So if nothing else, we'd love for you to just come by and see what we're up to, try some of our new product, and support us. And hopefully this is kind of a different podcast. And like I said at the beginning, I was just kind of trying to find a way to sort of refresh. Here's what we do. Here's what we're about. And hopefully you're about it too. And we can kind of go on this journey together in the 2021-22 season, if you're in North America, and we're loving it. So with that said, I'm going to let you get on with your Monday. And before I do that, I just want to remind you, sign up for our mailing list. Those are going to be starting to go out every week. The shop crew's putting those together, making sure that you know what's going on, what gear's arriving, content that we've got going on that you may or may not be aware of. And we want to make sure that it's kind of all in one place. It's a simple way to do it and see what's going on. And a lot of people aren't on social media, or it just gets too crazy and, they're not looking on it. So make sure to sign up for the email list. The link is in the show notes, and we'd love for you to be a part of that. As always, we'd love for you to shop with us. I know this was kind of a long explanation of what the shop is. So hopefully you're coming in. Hopefully you're coming to hang out with us this season. The other thing I mentioned with the Tri-Tele is go over to telemarkskier.com. Telemark Skier Magazine is part of the Freeheel Life family. You're going to get articles, gear reviews, and more. We've got Craig Dostie, one of the OGs of Telemark. He's incredibly knowledgeable in terms of his gear reviews, and we're queuing up a bunch of awesome stuff on there every week for you to check out. And we would encourage you to become a subscriber of Telemark Skier Magazine online at telemarkskier.com, so we can continue to do that and keep pushing that out. And you can always reach out to me direct, podcast@freeheellife.com. I'd love to, I've got some stuff over the summer, but obviously it's, it trickles in. So now that I'd love to hear what your thoughts are as winter's coming in, what you'd like to hear about, maybe some topics that you're curious about. And that way I can kind of queue up a new mailbag episode and kind of answer some questions on the air and talk more about that. So as always, thank you for listening. I love you guys. It's so awesome to be able to talk Telemark every week. And thank you for helping Telemark grow and helping us build an industry that supports you. And if you're just getting into this, welcome to the family. I always love having new Telemark skiers kind of coming in. And make sure to check out last week's podcast with Mario Carr. That was a great one. He's only been telemarking 4 years and doing some cool stuff. And, that was another fun conversation for me. Like I mentioned last week, is just talking to fresh faces, doing some really cool stuff. And that's what keeps me going, is seeing innovation, seeing new stuff, and seeing how Telemark evolves over the years. So I'll be back next Monday with another podcast and more announcements from the shop and stuff that's going on. And I can't wait to tell you about some really exciting stuff that's happening. And until next week, my friends, spread Telemark always.